Welcome everyone to Marvel Hub. This is DK Dynamite, and today I have part 3 of I saw Avengers Endgame early. We've had 2 previous videos going over some pretty credible leaks, while some other ones were just too fabricated to even believe even a little bit. But these people are claiming to have seen the entirety of Avengers Endgame. So we've done this twice before, and here today we have yet another leak from apparently a member that is a part of the VFX team for Avengers Endgame, and this person is claiming to have watched some parts in the second and first act of the movie, and I also know the entire plot. Spoilers below. So jumping right into it, we have act number 1, emergency broadcast saying this is not a test, this is a state of emergency in effect. Please stand by for further instructions. Marvel logo plays with Stan Lee cameos and turns to purple color. Scene cuts to Clint's farm. He trains his daughter. Family vanishes in front of him. He rushes to the TV. An emergency broadcast plays. Cut to Wakanda, where everyone mourns. They decide to regroup and set for Avengers facility. Tony sees a dream where he has a son and everyone turns to dust. Tony wakes up, a song is playing. Cut to a scene of Tony and Nebula playing paper football. They are bored, hopeless, and starving. Tony records his message to Pepper. Tony and Nebula talk about their past and the Guardians. Tony doesn't want to die in space, and they use parts of the Mark 50 armor and Nebula's hand to fix the Benatar. The next scene cuts to Avengers facility. Pepper hears the message after wearing a silver Iron Man armor, probably the Mark 49, whose helmet was beeping. This is the photo which shows Pepper wearing an armor, and everyone thought was rescue. She is relieved that Tony is still alive. Avengers arrive and Pepper asks them about Tony. Avengers think he is dead. She gives them Fury's pager, which was recovered by police, and watches the news as the death toll rises. Captain Marvel's arrival scene, she is looking for Fury, and they tell her Fury is dead. Thor blames himself for the snap. Scene cuts to Tony and Nebula, who repair the Benatar. They enter a jump point, and as they move towards the Earth, the sunlight flashes towards Tony's eyes. Pepper receives the message. Captain America shaves, the scene from the trailer where he is wearing a vest. Black Widow calls him to check what's happening outside. They watch the Benatar arrive. Tony and Nebula land. Pepper is happy to see Tony and hugs him, but Tony collapses to the ground. On the other hand, Rocket asks about the other Guardians. Nebula is speechless. Bruce takes care of Tony, who is recovering in bed. He says Vision is dead, but Bruce has taken all the intel Shuri had on Vision, and he is trying to rebuild him in a way where he can survive without any specific power source. Steve goes to Tony's bedside. They both apologize for Civil War. Tony says Steve can have his shield back. Black Widow interrupts them and tells Steve, you might want to check this out. Avengers locate an energy surge. Nebula tells them Thanos is in a place called the Garden, but leaves the room and refuses to go with them. Then plays a scene Marvel officially released. Cap says, let's go get this son of a bitch. Avengers theme plays and the Avengers are shown suited up and ready to fight Thanos. The scene from the first trailer where the Avengers are walking. Tony, Nebula, and Hulk stay behind. Tony and Bruce doesn't think their plan will work. Or don't think their plan will work, as it should be stated. Rocket asks everyone who hasn't been to space. Cap, Widow, and War Machine raise hands. They go to the garden and see a retired Thanos. His armor is hanging like a scarecrow. Thanos doesn't want to fight or kill anyone. He says the gauntlet had unlimited power, so he couldn't expand the universe or build resources. Killing half the population was the only way. He says they can't undo the snap anymore. Avengers don't believe him. His gauntlet is damaged. Captain Marvel is very confident about killing Thanos. Thanos doesn't use the gauntlet and gains the upper hand against the Avengers. Black Widow and Cap mostly do planning and distract Thanos so that the stronger heroes can damage him. Rocket and War Machine use a weapon to stun Thanos. After that, Captain Marvel badly damages him and Thor cuts off his arm. Thanos is beaten to pulp. Rocket goes mad at him for killing the Guardians and starts to torture him with an extremely powerful electric weapon. Captain Marvel tries to use the gauntlet, but a flash of red comes and the gauntlet vanishes. The Thanos Scarecrow armor vanishes too with a flash of red, and a voice says, you could not live with your own failure? What did that bring you? Back to me. The previous Thanos was an illusion created by the Reality Stone. The real Thanos appears in full armor, and the gauntlet repairs itself in front of the Avengers. He's able to paralyze every Avenger using the stones except Captain Marvel, who is strong enough to break the Force and charge against him. Thanos grabs her by the neck, absorbs her power using the Space Stone, and vaporizes her slowly and painfully using the Power Stone, similar to what he was doing to Thor in the first scene of Infinity War. Avengers watch as Captain Marvel dies. Thanos teleports to another planet using the Space Stone. I can't even take this serious. The Avengers Endgame title card appears in purple. The theme is the same one that plays when the Age of Ultron title card appears. Cut to 2 years later, Rhodey and Cap in a conference where Stan Lee gives an inspirational speech. They help the military to repair the world. New York is being watched over by upgraded Iron Legion, who are assigned to protect people by Tony Stark. In Avengers facility, gray-haired Tony walks in a room full of new Iron Man armors and is working on the Mark 85, and suddenly PTSD strikes him. Pepper listens to Tony scream and comes to help. Friday interrupts them and says they have a visitor. A much older Harley Keener arrives and asks for a job in Stark Industries. His family was dusted in the snap and he desperately needs help. Tony feels sorry and gives him a job. He reminds Tony of the stealth mode idea, and Tony decides to work on it. Thor is in space in search of the surviving Asgardians. Rocket is with them. He finds them and Valkyrie is taking care of a small Asgard in Nidavellir. Apparently Korg and Eitri have died in the snap. The Asgardians are sad and struggling to live. Banner experiments on himself to bring out the Hulk but fails. Nebula, Bruce, Tony, Nat, Rhodey, and Steve are living in Avengers facility. Natasha goes to Japan and finds Clint fighting the Yakuza as Ronin. Unlike the trailers, her hair is red color in this scene. He recovers pieces of Mjolnir, which the Yakuza wanted to use to make dangerous weapons. He is working as a lone assassin, but Nat convinces him to come home. Clint arrives at Avengers compound and tells them the loss of his family. Cap breaks down in tears and says, "We lost, all of us." Speech from the trailer. Ant-Man escapes the quantum realm with the help of his aunts and comes to Avengers facility. He talks about Time Vortex and unstrings Hank Pym's lab. Tony and Banner work on quantum realm suits. They make a gauntlet using pieces of Mjolnir recovered by Hawkeye. They decide to copy the stones using Barf Tech. They both talk about unleashing the machine if anything goes wrong. Nebula contacts Rocket and Thor and they arrive on Earth. Captain America makes one last plan and divides the group into two teams to time travel and copy the stones. The quantum suits are developed. The teams are 1. Tony, Bruce, Scott, Steve, and Nat go to 2012. They travel to the point before the Avengers are created and the Tesseract is in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. Nat leads Scott to S.H.I.E.L.D. facility, and Scott shrinks and copies the Space Stone right before Loki's arrival scene. Cap, Bruce, and Tony go to New York, battle, but 2012 Cap sees the old Tony and past Tony flying off in the sky. Tony explains he's from the future and asks, "Do you trust me?" Unlike the trailers, Cap says no, so Tony focuses on distracting past Cap while explaining everything to him, and Cap is confused as hell. The conversation is really funny. In the meantime, future Cap and Bruce waits in Avengers Tower to the moment where Hulk smashes Loki. After that, they find the scepter lying in the floor and they copy the Mind Stone. When they turn back, the Hulk encounters them. Hulk is confused and Banner and Hulk recognize each other. Hulk then focuses on the Battle of New York. In the meantime, Tony explains to the past Cap that he cannot tell anything to the rest of his team members or else timeline will be messed up. Ant-Man and Widow arrives and tell their work is done. All of them regroup and go back to the quantum realm. The second team, which has Rocket, Thor, Nebula, Clint, and Rhodey, revisit the Collector in Nowhere when he opens the orb. Rocket has a skirmish with his past self and tells the Collector about his future. Collector tells Rocket to copy the Power Stone. Karina tries to hold it, but future Rocket stops her and says in the original timeline it kills her. Nebula reminds them that at this point when Ronin comes, and Nebula, War Machine, and Clint fight Ronin's army using battleships, as they can't breathe in space. Clint has a lot of fun driving a ship, and Nebula fights past Nebula. Future Rocket is with Thor. Thor knows that the Collector has the ether and tells him if they don't copy the Reality Stone, Thanos kills him in the future. Thor and Rocket copy the Reality Stone and all these heroes set back to Earth. They plan on retrieving the two other stones on their way through the quantum realm. Scene cuts to Titan. The stones, which the Avengers have copied, become unstable as two same stones can't coexist together in one reality. Thanos is enraged and screams, "Stark." So for Act 2, the Avengers return to HQ. Thanos, in full armor with a two-bladed sword, attacks their HQ and destroys it. He demands an explanation. Hawkeye, Ant-Man, and Black Widow protect Stark Gauntlet from Outriders. Nebula, War Machine, and Rocket protect the quantum realm. Bruce quickly uses some tools to power the New Vision. New Vision arises. He has a cooler and darker design. There is no stone on his forehead. He is a more purplish and the green parts are replaced with bluish gray and has a collar-like cape. Thor, Cap, and Iron Man fight Thanos. Cap does little damage and is knocked out. Iron Man Mark 85 is 10 times stronger than the Mark 50 and does heavy damage but is still knocked out. Thor and Thanos have an epic fight, but Thanos impales Thor, which kills him. Cap rages out. Banner and Vision come to help. Banner rages out after seeing dead Thor. He becomes Professor Hulk due to experiments he did to his body. Stark flies off with Cap, who is badly damaged, while New Vision and Professor Hulk fight Thanos. Hawkeye almost dies protecting the Gauntlet, and Black Widow barely makes it out alive with the Gauntlet. War Machine, Rocket, and Nebula join the fight with Thanos, while Stark orders Cap, Clint, and Widow to look after the Gauntlet and the Quantum Tunnel. Cap is furious as hell and wants wants to kill Thanos and Nat tries to cool him down. Iron Man and War Machine's suit combine to form a proton cannon strong enough to paralyze Thanos. Hulk, Vision, and Iron Man and War Machine and Rocket damage Thanos badly, but he retreats. Avengers have no time to mourn Thor, and Stark orders Vision to look after the Earth while they are away. They seek help from Wong, who tells them that the Ancient One saw countless futures and kept the Time Stone safe in the Sanctum. The remaining 9 Avengers make a plan. Stark, Nebula, Ant-Man, Hulk, and Rocket Raccoon visit Titan battle when Mantis puts Thanos to sleep. They hide behind the cliff and no one can see them. Tony tells Rocket what Quill does. When they see Quill flying towards Thanos, Rocket stuns him from behind. The past Guardians are confused and past Iron Man thinks that something is wrong with Quill's suit. They stunned Quill so that Thanos could be asleep for a longer time. Ant-Man crawls up the gauntlet while Thanos is asleep and copies the Soul Stone. No sacrifice required. Doctor Strange sees him but nods and does nothing as he saw the future already. Spider-Man starts pulling the gauntlet. Future Stark tells that Thanos has to do the snap or else the timeline will be altered too much. Right when Spider-Man is about to take the gauntlet, future Iron Man fly off with him and drop him nearby, and Professor Hulk hits Thanos to wake him up. The Avengers ditch the past heroes and enter the quantum realm. Meanwhile, Cap, Nat, Clint, and Rhodes travel to the Sanctum and visit the Ancient One. They tell her about the snap and the Ancient One seems to know about it. The Ancient One warns them that altering the timeline could make things even worse, but agrees to let them copy the Time Stone anyway. Going to Act 3 here, cut to a scene of Thor waking up in a weird place. He has glowing yellow eyes. He sees his forefathers in a dining hall. They have white glowing eyes and look at Thor with disappointment. A mysterious figure welcomes him. The person appears to be Hela, and she explains to him that the gods who die are destined to live forever in hell. She tells Thor that Odin gathered the Infinity Stones to conquer the 9 realms, and he sacrificed Hela by imprisoning her forever to get the Soul Stone. He then used all his power to shatter the stones across the earth. Thor then turns and sees Loki, who is paralyzed and suffering endlessly for his actions. So is Odin. Thor tells Hela if there is any way he can be reborn again. Hela tells him to escape hell, I believe, and go back to reality. He needs to kill the current ruler of Hell, which none of the gods could complete. Thor makes a deal with her that he will kill the ruler of Hell so that Hela can become the new ruler in exchange for her army. Thor turns back and sees a gate open in an arena, the scene from the big game spot which sees Thor turned around and entering a place with Stormbreaker. A huge green serpent arises from the ground and he breathes fire. Scene cuts to Thanos, who reappears in Titan. He finds none of the stones are usable and throws away the gauntlet in anger. He enters a secret location in his ship and talks to a mysterious female figure and tells her he needs her help. He also calls her his child. The face reveals to be Supergiant, and she is played by Catherine Langford. Thanos prepares to attack the Earth with a huge army of Outriders. In the meantime, Avengers regroup in Wakanda. They know only Hulk and Thor can wield the gauntlet without dying, but Thor is already dead. The gauntlet still needs to be developed. They know Thanos will attack, and they go to Wakanda to ask help from the army. Rocket and Nebula use the Benatar to go to Xandar. Nova Prime is dead, and they convince Roman Day to avenge Xandar by providing them army to fight Thanos. Roman Day, who is the new Nova Prime, mentions the names of some decimated comrades, which includes the names Ryder and Alexander. The Nova Corps agree to help. Thanos attacks Wakanda again. This time Supergiant leads the Outriders. Wakanda has a reduced army and the Avengers are losing the battle. M'Baku and Okoye lead the Wakandan army. Supergiant is overpowered as hell. Tony works on completing the gauntlet in Shuri's lab while the Avengers hold off Thanos and Supergiant. Cap is protecting Tony in the lab, similar to how Shuri was protecting Vision. The other Iron Man armors also fight the battle along with the new Black Hulkbuster controlled by Rhodey. Scene cuts to Thor, who fights the Midgard Serpent. He is damaged badly, but at the last moment lightning starts to flow out of his veins and he becomes overpowered. He manages to defeat the Midgard Serpent and is rewarded with a belt which will help him to become stronger after taking damage in Hela's undead army. Hela becomes the new ruler of Hell. Thor turns to Loki and says he will come back for him. The Avengers are losing the fight, but Rocket and Nova Corps join them. The gauntlet is completed, and Professor Hulk wields it while the rest of the Avengers hold back Thanos. Professor Hulk loses his arm, and Cap wields the gauntlet to bring everybody back but dies. Tony tried to stop him though. The dead heroes reappear exactly where they were dusted. Strange creates a portal, and the dead Titan heroes enter Wakanda through the portal. All the Avengers team up together against Thanos and his army, and Iron Man leads them. Iron Man even says Avengers assemble, and they all charge against Thanos to avenge Cap. Thanos is enraged and fights with the intent to kill. A ghost-like undead Thor appears with Hela's undead army, along with the giant wolf. Thor is overpowered, even stronger than Captain Marvel, and fights Thanos one-on-one. Strange fights Supergiant and kills her. Thor kills Thanos. War Machine, Okoye, M'Baku, Starlet, and Black Panther die in the battle. Right after the battle, a beam of light reaches the sky from the quantum tunnel and creates a huge black hole. This was one result of altering the timeline. The black hole causes a lot of destruction and different realities start to collide. To save everyone, Iron Man enters the quantum tunnel and destroys Quantum Realm's core using the Gauntlet's power, killing himself and destroying the stones in the quantum realm in the process. Before that, he sees multiple futures where he leads a happy life with Pepper and children, and Peter Parker is forced to close the quantum tunnel with Stark inside it. The black hole then closes. Thor then travels to New Asgard, which was built in Nidavellir, and tells Valkyrie his time is past and she has to take care of Asgard. He takes Loki's place in Hell, bringing Loki back to his life in his place, and Loki becomes king of Asgard and honors Thor by building a statue of him in front of Asgard. Hawkeye retires to family life, Guardians mourn Quill, and Rocket becomes their new leader. Quill's death was very emotional, Shuri becomes the new Black Panther, T'Challa is mourned by the Wakandans. Hulk gets a new vibranium arm and stays with the new Avengers. Avengers mourn Stark and Rogers, and Black Widow gives speech at their funeral. Stark leaves a new suit and tech behind at Keener's home and will probably become Ironheart in future movies. Spider-Man and Strange quit the Avengers. Winter Soldier and Falcon join S.H.I.E.L.D. on a secret mission. Apparently, timeline alterations have restored Crossbones, and Fury recruits them to fight them on a mission. The movie ends with new Avengers led by Black Widow, Hulk, Scarlet Witch, New Vision, Captain Marvel, Wasp are in the team. Post credits, Adam Warlock is born. End credits, Celestials are introduced as a threat. It also says Hiroki Sanda is not King the Conqueror. He plays a Yakuza gangster. Only 2 OG Avengers will play an important role as an Avenger in the next movies. Hulk and Black Widow. Professor Hulk won't revert to Banner. Ruffalo will only provide Hulk's voice. So there's a lot wrong with this with this leak here. First of all, let's get something straight here without going into too much detail. There is no way they're keeping T'Challa dead. There's a Black Panther sequel confirmed with Chadwick Boseman returning. Would they really kill off a billion-dollar character and not include him in the next sequel? That's not happening. How does Captain Marvel all of a sudden just come back? She dies at the beginning, apparently, in the first act, and doesn't come back till the very end in an unexplained way. The way that Steve and Tony die also make no sense, and this is just a load of bullshit. But I thought we'd go over it anyway in case the people did think this was real, because this is 100% false. I can promise you guys that right now. And there was also no mention of a few other characters in this film, which we all know for a fact are returning. So this is a whole bunch of bullshit. And what they did here was compile previous leaks that were already reported on, some of them being legit, and combine that with the footage we've seen so far to make this really big fabricated story with these twists and turns that none of us really expected. But that's the key. That's the psychology behind doing fake leaks. You write things that do make a lot of sense, you write things that make a little bit of sense, and then you also add in things that make almost no sense to add to the twists and turns of the story to really make it sound legit. That's how people do it, and this is 100% false. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Very underwhelming and definitely does not make any sense at all. No mention of Gamora returning, no mention of Quill ever coming back. He's apparently dead. We know for a fact Guardians 3 is happening, so this is a bunch of bullshit. I'm definitely not going to believe this. No way they're killing any Black Panther characters permanently, and M'Baku, Okoye, that's not happening. No mention of the other returning Avengers besides Doctor Strange, really. It's bullshit. It's definitely not legit at all whatsoever, but I'm glad we did a part 3 to I Saw Avengers Endgame early, because once again, this is a complete pile of bullshit. Let me know what you think of this down below in the comments. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn notifications on to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Marvel news and information. This has been DK Dynamite, and peace out, everyone.